Welcome to this explainer. Today we are diving straight into a totally mind-bending geographical anomaly. Imagine this. The simple, everyday act of just taking a walk down the street can literally fast-forward your watch. It's this incredibly rare scenario where geography, history, and the very way we measure our days all just collide, right in a completely unexpected way. We're going to look really closely at how a place that seemingly defies logic actually operates on a daily basis.
So, what if crossing the street actually changed the time? Picture this. You're standing on a city corner, just waiting for the light to change. You step off the curb, walk maybe 30 seconds to the other side, and suddenly, boom, you're jumping into an entirely different hour. You haven't stepped into a time machine, and you definitely haven't fallen asleep. You literally just crossed the road.
Now, your first instinct is probably, oh, it's a border crossing. But we are not talking about stepping into some neighboring nation where the sun's position has legitimately shifted in the sky. Usually, right, when we change time zones, there's some grand journey involved across a massive landmass. But nope, not here.
And we certainly aren't taking a long-haul flight across the globe either. We're not crossing an ocean or trekking across a whole continent. You absolutely do not need a passport control line or a boarding pass to make this kind of temporal leap.
Actually, this is happening right inside the exact same country. The people here share the same sunrise and the exact same sunset, yet they are living their lives by two entirely different clocks. It creates what's honestly one of the strangest, most fascinating timekeeping systems on the face of the Earth. Let's unpack exactly where and how this whole thing is happening.
Section 1. One island, two clocks, a geographical anomaly.
Okay, so the place we're talking about is Cyprus. And get this, Cyprus uniquely operates with two entirely different time zones running simultaneously during certain parts of the year. We're not just talking about two different area codes here, or differing local dialects, but two fundamental measurements of the day. A person can literally walk just a few minutes across a border right inside the island and arrive in a completely different hour.
So, how does that even work? Well, the structural divide creating this dual-time reality is deeply rooted in geopolitics. On one side, you have the internationally recognized Republic of Cyprus, and they follow European Union time rules. That means specific, continent-wide protocols for daylight saving time. But meanwhile, the self-declared Northern Cyprus handles things differently. They choose to align their clocks directly with Turkey. And because the EU and Turkey don't always change their clocks together, well, a temporal split forms right down the middle of the island.
Section 2. The 1974 divide, how history reshaped the clock.
To really wrap our heads around this, we have to neutrally look back to 1974. A significant political conflict resulted in the island becoming divided, which established the physical and political boundaries that are actually still there today. As time went on, these two separated regions independently adopted different administrative policies, and one of the most tangible things they diverged on was how they handled daylight saving time. So, what began as a geopolitical split back in the 1970s eventually evolved into this literal physical split in timekeeping. It really proves that time zones aren't just dictated by the sun, They're heavily shaped by human events.
Section 3. Living on dual time, the everyday chaos of two clocks.
Just think about the sheer logistical complexity this creates for locals every single day. I mean, imagine trying to schedule an island-wide business meeting. You have to constantly clarify whose time zone you're talking about just to avoid showing up an hour late. Or think about travel. You could so easily miss a flight or a local bus connection just by misunderstanding which zone your departure terminal is sitting in. And consider the people who commute across the border for work or school. They are literally time traveling on their daily route. You might leave your house at 8 a.m. and arrive at your desk at exactly 8 a.m. Even super basic tasks, like figuring out when a live TV show airs or what time the local pharmacy closes, become this daily puzzle that depends entirely on which side of the city you're standing in.
Now, the reason this feels almost impossible to us is that countries are traditionally supposed to operate on a unified national time, right? Time is supposed to be this great objective unifier. But Cyprus completely bends that rule. It takes this abstract, invisible concept like time and turns it into a tangible, physical, geographic boundary. It's truly one of the few places on Earth where political borders don't just separate governments or economies, they literally reshape time itself, right inside the exact same island nation.
We love to think of time as this absolute universal constant. We all share the same sun, we experience the same sunrise, the same sunset, and naturally we just assume the exact same hour applies to everyone nearby. But in Cyprus, even time is divided. Working through this explainer leaves us with this pretty profound realization. Humans don't just draw borders on maps to shape nations. Sometimes we literally dictate the clock. We shape time itself. So I'll leave you with this. If we have the power to draw lines on the ground that bend the very hours of the day, what other universal constants are actually just human inventions? Keep questioning, keep learning, and thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.